Right. Welcome to Improve the User's Engagement, Adding Sugar to Sakai. Please note that all attendees are muted upon entry. If you have any questions, please enter them in the chat box. The session is being recorded and will be available at a later date on the Sakai YouTube channel. And if you have any problems with video or audio, please enter a comment in the chat box and I will try to help you. So again, welcome to this session, Improve the User's Engagement, Adding Sugar to Sakai. Our presenters are Miguel Pellicer and Jeremy Rudy. Miguel is the CTO at EDF, a Sakai commercial affiliate company. He has been a member of the Sakai community since 2008 and is a member of the core team and the security and internationalization lead. And Jeremy is the director of product at Noodle Partners. He has previously worked for Pearson and launched an award-winning suite of mobile apps for students and instructors and led a strategy initiative for Pearson's next generation of higher ed courseware products. Prior to joining Pearson, Jeremy founded an ed tech startup while getting his undergrad at Arizona State University. Gentlemen?
Yes, thank you very much, Christina. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. Well, let's get started. I'm going to give a little introduction here and then hand over to Miguel. Miguel, let's go to the next slide. So just a little bit about Noodle, about EDF, ACE, our project, the overview of the project, ACE Engage. ACE stands for the American Council of Education. I'm going to give that quick intro, 3 minutes or so, before handing off to Miguel for the real meat of the presentation, how we added the sugar. So the changes that we made throughout Sakai for this project, and then want to open up for some discussion with you guys. Next slide, Miguel. All right. So who's Noodle Partners? I'm talking to you out of New York right now. We're based in Union Square, New York City. Miguel coming in from Barcelona. Noodle Partners is a modern online program manager, and one of the things to note, if you've heard about Noodle Partners or if you haven't, we have a different model than traditional OPMs. Our model is primarily based on partnering with great products and integrating products and technologies out there and services to serve a high quality but lower cost experience with our universities. That usually means integrating with universities' existing technologies, and that includes the learning management system. And so two of our partners who might be on this call, NYU and UVA, that use Sakai, we integrate with their Sakai and bring in our own suite of tools and technologies and services into that. Now, Noodle and our founder and CEO, John Katzman, who also started 2U, we believe in learning should, of course, be inherently social, and online learning should bring that, shouldn't lose that, and therefore accessible to all. We got started with the Sakai community early on with an early school, and we've been contributing since. So some of you may know the work we did with Adrian on the Commons tool that we contributed, and the Connections tool, and notifications, the Bullhorn. So that was some of our early contributions that we've done in the last few years. And let's have Miguel do a quick introduction on EDF. Miguel?
Yeah. Well, we're a Spanish company that is providing Sakai services since 2008. We have clients in 4 continents right now, and we basically contribute to the Sakai community. We're a member of the Spanish Sakai group of universities, and we mostly provide hosting, support, and development services.
Great. So why did we work with EDF on this project, and what is this project? So let me tell you a little bit about the American Council of Education. So you guys, some of you may be members, or someone at your institutions may be members. This is a large professional development organization for higher ed administrators. We announced this partnership a few months ago to work with ACE to launch their online professional development platform for members, primarily educators, university administrators. The platform, the kind of the scope of this project was to highlight a virtual content library of educational resources to connect educators both regionally and nationally, and to facilitate real-time discussion with relevant campus issues. So let me, what does that mean exactly? Well, a dean at a university, if they have, for instance, a module that is being developed, kind of a micro course, is on, let's say, free speech and inclusion, that there's a dean might have an issue on campus and they're looking to see, is there any resources that can help me address this and respond to this within my school or within my campus? And they could take a quick micro course from the ACE, but they could also discuss that issue with other educators, other deans around the country who might be going through a similar challenge and what their approach was. They might have a recurring group around an interest or around their role that they're doing weekly or monthly discussions with, and they could always share out to the community, post questions, and have ongoing dialogue. So that was the vision for the platform. And when we started off, we were looking to see, well, where would the best place to build this platform? Where would that be? And the flexibility of Sakai and the existing capabilities around both learning and social that we've been involved in were really appealing there, but we wanted to really take it a step up on the experience and both improve and simplify the user experience, add to social, and to really meet the needs of this vision. And that's why we reached out to EDF. EDF we knew was going to be an excellent development partner and had a proven track record. And when we shared the vision with them, Miguel got pretty excited. Next slide, Miguel. Our overall outcomes for the project was to deliver this experience for Engage, but also to continue our earlier efforts, on the Sakai UX and add new social collaborative capabilities. Ultimately, of course, we want to contribute these changes to the Sakai community, and we'll talk about the timeline there. Our partners UVA and NYU, we shared these designs with them early on, what we were planning to do with ACE. They were excited about those changes, and so we've had some dialogue with them. That's the idea. It's not just to build something that works for this one organization, but to, we're trying to develop something that's valuable to our other partners, and of course, contribute those with EDF back into the community. Before I hand off to Miguel, just on where are we at right now? So we started with Miguel earlier this summer, and what we're going to show you on some of the changes, we're actually launching this pilot this month with more of an expanded launch in the early 2019. So we'll be making some improvements through that probably Q1, but in 2019 we want to have these polished up and ready to contribute in 2019. So with that, I think, Miguel, I'm going to hand it over to you as you dive in on the implementation and the specific changes in the tools.
Yeah, thank you, Jeremy. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to talk about the different changes that we implemented in Sakai for the ACE. Personally, when I saw the project for the first time, Noodle Partners provided us a mock-up about what the ACE wanted, and basically they wanted to change a lot of things in Sakai. Basically, they wanted a new portal, including a new navigation. We wanted to include more social features in several tools, so they wanted to change several existing Sakai tools and provide new tools, basically to improve the user experience and the social interaction and the collaboration between members and participants. So the first thing that we implemented is the ACE portal. The ACE portal is basically a new portal. It's different from Morpheus. We did it on demand. We implemented it on demand based on the Noodle designs. We implemented new components like a new banner, new footer, new layout, There's no sites navigation. It's more simple or simpler than Morpheus, and it's flexible because the implementation allows to change between portals. So you can use Morpheus, which is bundled in Sakai 19 or Sakai 12, and at the same time you can use this portal. So to be completely honest, this is not the first time that we implemented a completely new portal for Sakai. I think it's the third time, and it's always a big challenge because you have to use existing Sakai components, and at the same time you need to use new components and provide new features for the users. This is the AC portal, which is based on Sakai. Maybe some of you identify some elements that are common to Sakai, but of course there are new elements that are not in the default distribution of Sakai. Basically, we find in the main page an HTML area where you can put rich content. We find several tools like top posts of the week. We have more tools like the common summary, which shows the different posts that have been shared in all your groups. You can join some suggested groups. You have the AC newsroom, which is a RSS feed. And we have another component, which is called the library, which is integrated with the library software.
Miguel?
Yeah.
Let me just speak to a few things on that last view there. Because part of our goals, guys, the vision of ACE today is not unlike something like a curated newsfeed. What's the difference between this versus, say, the Commons? Well, the Commons, as many of you know, if you've used it, it's just a stream of posts from people that you follow, and perhaps it could be modified from posts from your courses, but it's just posts. And the problem with that is it's not necessarily, it doesn't answer the question for users, what's the most important thing I should be looking at? It's just a lot of content that may or may not be relevant to you. So part of the vision with EAC today is let's try to curate some of that a little bit more deliberately. And so there's like you said, the HTML view that can be changed to, say, a video. The top posts for the week are actually looking at what are the most popular posts that were shared elsewhere and kind of bringing in those that you can then click into. And other things like recently shared in groups. Again, it's pulling the top activity or recent activity from groups into the home view. So at a very quick level, when you sign in, you get a sense of what's going on across the different spaces that you're part of, whether it's groups or regions or the overall kind of instance-wide community. So that's the vision here, and we're going to keep improving on it in the months to come.
Thank you, Jeremy. So when a user logs in for the first time, the user found a welcome model, so they can provide the data, the initial data to engage with other users. Basically, profile information, because as some of you know, in Sakai, you are not prompted for any kind of information at the beginning. You just need an email, maybe first name and last name and the password. You don't need anything else. But we want users to engage, so we want more data, like personal information, occupation, etc. So every time a user logs in, this data is stored in the profile. We implemented some changes in the Commons tool. Commons tool was included in Sakai 12. It was contributed by Noodle partners, but of course, every single tool can be improved. So we provided a new user interface. We incorporated a very interesting feature, which is support special contexts. We will talk about that later. We added the possibility of share any kind of file, because the Commons tool only supports images at the moment. We provided a feature to share files in comments, because the current functionality don't allow to do it, because you can only share files in the posts, not in the comments. And of course, we needed to do some tool fixes that affects the current version of comments. So one of the things that we implemented is the new comments interface. So in the left side, we find the current comments interface, and in the right side, we have the lifting. So it's mostly the same buttons, same components, but they're organized different. From my point of view, or from my opinion, the interface is much clearer, and it's easier for the user to use to attach an image, an URL, or any kind of file. One of the challenges of this project was supporting special contexts. As some of you know, Sakai supports context, which is called sites. So we have different sites, and in every single site you have a context. But what happens if you want to have multiple contexts globally? Let's say at campus level, I want different contexts that are not sites. And we had that challenge because we had regions and we had an engaged network. And the engaged network is global and regions are regions. So the Commons tool required to support special contexts, which are not sites, because the users are not grouped in a site. So every time a user accesses a special context, we'll find posts of that context. Okay. As I said, the Commons tool now supports any kind of file. So this is an example of attaching a Word document, a PDF, or text file, which is very interesting in terms of engaging with other users, because the current tool only implements images. This is an example of the new feature to share files in comments. As I said before, this is a post, and the current version of Commons doesn't support to post files in the comments. So we provided a feature to include attachments in the comments. So the students can provide more information in the comments. Another big challenge was to show the top post of the week in the workspaces. Basically, it's a new tool and shows the top posts of the week in the Commons tool and the engaged network context. So everything that happens in the engaged network context, which is not a site, it's just a campus context, it shows the top post of the week. Basically, it's the most famous based on the number of responses, and the users will find in the main screen, in the workspace, the most famous post of the week. So they can participate pretty fast in that post. We needed to implement a new tool to show the different posts that have been shared in all your groups, which is sites. So we created a new tool for the workspaces. Let's say it's a summary, which show the posts that are published in your sites, or we call it groups. We call them groups. And there's another interesting feature, because you can join suggested groups. This tool allows you to join several groups that are suggested to you. So this is an example in the left side when a user doesn't belong to any group, to any site. So you're prompted to join these groups. And we support this, I think, 3 kinds of groups. We support joinable groups, which are joinable sites. We support joinable sites that require an approval from the owner, and we use private sites, which are closed sites. Okay, so these are completely open sites, and the user can join for the first time in that groups. So after joining some groups, the users will find the recently shared posts. So you can access the contributions really fast from your workspace without going to the upper menu, going to the side, going to the tool, and going to the post. The post is basically in the workspace. And with a single click, you can go directly to the post and engage with other users.
Yeah. Real quick, Miguel, I just wanted to say some of the changes that we're making, you can see as sort of an evolution of our thinking from early on, because let's say a year ago, we had this notion where we can use sites as groups and we can have the commons and we have these profiles, but just having the things exist doesn't mean they will be used, of course. And sometimes, as part of the user experience, people need a little nudge in the right direction. And so that's part of the onboarding screen, is to help them fill out their profile instead of hoping they find the profile and go fill it out. A little nudge there. Nudging them to join groups that we suggest, nudging them with recently shared content in groups. All of these, our hypothesis is that it can help improve some of the usage and engagement with these tools, and therefore the communities themselves that they represent.
Thank you, Jeremy. Now I would like to talk about my region. Basically, it's a new tool. The main idea is to group users by region, because many users can be separated by region and can engage with users of the same region, which is the main objective. And users can switch between regions without any problem. There's no restriction. There's no administration that, well, this user belongs to that region. No, you can switch between regions and engage users from other regions. Basically, we use commons for regions because we support regions as a special context, because regions are not sites. And basically, region is a user property, talking in technical terms. So the database model is not modified. Basically, region is a property of the user. So this is the regions tool. We have my region in the workspace, and it shows the region that the user belongs to. If I switch my region, it's basically a property. So the user property will say that I belong to a different region, and we show the commons for a different region. And of course, the members of the region. So that the set of tools basically shows the region that you belong to, the members of your region, and at the same time, commons for your region. So the posts comes from users of the same region, okay? And everything's in the workspace, because workspace can be a site context, but we support multiple contexts in the workspace, which allows us to create any kind of structure, or it's very powerful in terms of flexibility. This is the region tool. For the administrator is a very basic tool, because we just want to create regions, manage members, edit, remove, and create a region photo or region image, etc. So we have the different members of the region, and of course we can edit the name, and we can create an unlimited number of regions. And of course, users can switch between regions. So the region is selected the first time you enter, because you choose a region. So what region do you want to participate? And now I would like to talk about my groups.
Real quick on the,
yep.
Miguel, so I can share with folks on the region. This might not be relevant for many universities. It could be. In this case, ACE has the notion of regional groups and regional events, and so there's a lot of discussion with people that are in a region, and so that's why it was important to have this, because they get together. There's both virtual and in-person events, and therefore materials that are shared, discussions that are had, all relating to the region. Thanks.
Thank you, Jeremy. Now I would like to talk about my groups, and I'm especially excited about this because this tool can be a good replacement for the membership tool. Basically, the main idea is to join groups. So the user can join groups, can read the content of the group, and if the group is interesting for the user, can join the group. So this is a tool to join joinable sites. So it's very similar to the existing membership. I would say is 80%, 85% similar. From my opinion, it has a better UI because the current membership tool is very old. And from my perspective, it can be a replacement in newer versions of Sakai. But that's a thing to be discussed with the community and other members. So this is the new My Groups. We can call it membership tool. We can call it My Sites because it's mostly the same. In the left side, we have in the top the groups that you belong to or that the user belongs to, and in the bottom, browse groups, where you can find information about new groups. And you can search pretty easy using the two search components. So you can search between your groups and you can search and browse groups, okay? And as you can see, it's just a single button to join or leave courses. I know it's dangerous because some users can join and can leave courses unintentionally, but you can join again pretty easy.
Groups, yeah. So in the goal here, we have this notion of groups being just sites, and they were in the site menu before, and I think that it was hard for people to discover them, to navigate them. We wanted to make that very easy for you to find new groups and to see the ones that you're in. And so having it at this kind of global navigation level, I hope improves that.
Yep, I agree. So the sites that are listed here are the joinable and the joinable but requires approval. So in the first case, you can join for free, no problem. And in the second case, you need to make a join request, so the owner can approve or deny your request. When you click in the site or the group, you will find the information of the group. Basically, this is the site info. So this is an existing information, the current Sakai. In site info, you will find a Sakai editor where you can put HTML information, and this is what appears in this screen. And if you're interested in the contents of the group, then you will find the possibility to join the group. So if you are sure that you want to join the group, you just need to click there, and you will be a member of the group. And same for leave. Basically, in your groups, you have the leave option, and it's pretty fast. You just need to click leave, and if you're sure, you leave the group. So it's basically a very similar tool of that membership tool, which is in the current distribution of Sakai. But from my perspective, it's faster. You don't need to refresh your screen. And it's pretty easy to join and leave groups and check the group's content, search, etc. Now I want to talk about other new tool, which is the shared files. Shared files lists the files that are shared in the Commons tool. So you can fast access the files that are shared between different posts and comments. As I said, in one of the common changes were that you can link any kind of file, but search files in Commons can be a tough task if there are many posts and comments. So this tool basically shows the list of the files that have been shared in the Commons. I know that it's similar to resources, because in resources you have different folders, you can organize your content, but at the same time, the Commons files are not in resources. So this is a way to access the files that have been shared pretty fast. So
yes.
Yeah.
The expectation with AC is that a lot of their members will want to be able to share files to each other and quickly and in a feed format. If you don't scroll down, scroll, you won't know where they are. Now, the files themselves are important, and so if it's sharing a resource on our school, an article that we wrote, a presentation that we might have done for faculty on something. Every time that something is shared in a post, it's just gathered here in the shared files. And so it makes it a little easier to go back and, oh, I remember that one professor shared something. I don't know where the post was, but I can just go to shared files and find that a little bit easier. So that's the idea with this tool.
Yeah, I agree. And this is not the final version because we included more components, we included a search bar, and we included more description, we included the preview of the file. So the tool has many improvements. And at the right side, you will have the online members, which is a replacement for the presence tool. But basically it's the same, a list of users with a photo and the status, if it's connected or not. And you can share a file directly, not using comments. So you can share a file. Finally, and this is the last tool that we created for the launch. We created a new roster tool, which is members and participants. It's simpler and has less capabilities than roster. It's basically it has presence capabilities. So it displays the members of a group or the members of a context, and at the same time the status, if it's connected or not. And as I said, it supports contexts like regions and comments. So if you are in the Engage network, or you are in a region, or you are in a group, you will find the members that are connected to the group and the members who are part of the group or the context. Okay, and if you click on any user, you can interact with them. You can go to the profile, you can add them as a contact, you can send messages, you can chat, etc., etc., etc. So this is how it looks like. As I said, it's like roster, but simpler, because you can only, it's basically to engage with the users, and you can see the users who are connected. So this is the list of the members of the group, and this is the participants that are online, and you can interact with them. So I think we are done with the presentation of the several tools, and I would like to receive and respond any kind of question.
Any questions about the scope or the features or any of the technical aspects that Miguel worked on, and whether you want to put them in the Zoom chat or just unmute yourselves and ask. I think you can unmute yourselves.
Yes, we can.
So,
Hello, Miguel, and hello, Jeremy. I've got a question about the replacement of the members and participants tool. It would be interesting to know if it's still possible to select within that tool based upon group membership or section membership to select subgroups of people. That would be nice to see if that's possible.
That's the thing that we should think about it, because the first version doesn't implement that, and I think that's the first part. I think that's the only difference with the membership tool. The membership tool supports different joinable sites, which you are a member of, and this tool is not integrated with sections and it's not integrated with groups. It's just sites. So it lists the joinable sites. It doesn't list the private sites, because we have private sites, we have joinable sites, and joinable sites that require a request. So it lists, let's say, the open sites and the sites which require an approval.
Okay, that's clear. Now, it's just that for us, it would not be a replacement of the roster tool yet. As you know, what you did is apply the book of faces kind of function for us, specifically for sections or subsections within across sites, so it would not be a replacement of the roster tool. Is that correct?
No, never. I'm talking about the My Groups tool, not talking about the roster tool, which is the members. But I think the response is mostly the same because we don't support groups in the members, because we don't use groups in these sites. Basically, our groups are sites, and we don't use groups nor sections. Everyone is member of the group, but there are no subgroups or subsections. Everyone is in the same group because we model the groups as sites.
Totally clear. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Hi, Tonko.
It looks like we have a question from Sam that he said, is there a like or upvote button? Or was this based on comments or interactions? So yes, Miguel, maybe you can speak to that, but I think about how is something determined as the top post for the week? That's based on the number of discussion with comments, right?
Yep.
Yep. I think that is something that we've been thinking about, and I think it is pretty interesting. Whether it's just a like upvote or more of a given a few more options. We've seen some good social learning tools like Yellow Dig that have done have some nice capabilities beyond just a vote or a thumbs up. So that is something I think we want to add in the future, but not part of this release.
No, and I need to be honest. As Jeremy said, we started this project in August. So we needed to implement all of this in, let's say, 2 months and a half. So
yeah.
the main objectives and the main target were clear, and we implemented the tools that the AC required, and we are really open to implement more things, because for now the top post of the week only shows the post with the most number of responses. But I'm mostly sure that we need to provide some kind of quality, because a big number of responses doesn't mean it's a quality post. So I'm sure that in the future that needs to be reviewed and provide a different way to choose the top posts of the week.
Well,
Cool.
if there are no
Thanks,
other
Sam.
questions, it looks like we've hit our time.
Oh, we hit our time. Oh, I didn't realize it was just until now. Well, if you guys have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to myself or Miguel. If you have any questions about Noodle Partners or the work we're doing with ACE, definitely you can ask me. And I definitely will say that Miguel and EDF have been a really fantastic partner for Noodle Partners. They have a really skilled development team, very good operations. And so if you need any work done with Sakai, I highly recommend them as a development partner. We've had a very good experience, and we plan to continue working with them.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Yes, it was a lot in a short amount of time, Sam, and that speaks to the talent of the EDF team in doing development. It actually moved faster than I expected, I have to say. Well, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much, everyone, for your time, and see you in different sessions.